Thank you all for coming today. Again, my name is Jim Hayes, and I'm the city manager of the city of Northglenn. I have the honor of serving the community. I've been in this position about a year, but we really do appreciate the time that you've taken out of your busy day to join us for this very special occasion. It is a very long time in the making. Now that the day is here, we're going to break ground on our new Justice Center. Which will be the home of our police department as well as our municipal court. And I want to start by recognizing the city council members and some other elected officials that are here with us today. Based on their tireless leadership, as well as generally holding us all accountable for a schedule and a budget that we could all be proud of, I want to thank them again for all their efforts leading up to not only this day, but before I got here last year. So thank you very much. So of course we're going to hear from Mayor Downing in a moment here, but I also want to recognize our council members. We have Mayor Pro Tem Carol Dodge. No, it's okay. Councilmember Marcy Whitman. Councilmember Kyle Mullica. Councilmember Becky Brown. Councilmember Joe Brown. Councilmember Kim Snetzinger. And Councilmember Jordan Sowers. I believe I saw Mayor Atchison here from Westminster, and as well as Senator Martinez-Humenick, and as well as Senator Lebsack here today. So, Antonio, where's Antonio? Antonio, and Councilmember Antonio Escobar. I was talking to him earlier too. He just wasn't sitting where my eyes were. So sorry about that, sir. Thank you again. Also want to thank David Willett, Chief Jim May, Judge Corinne McGid, and the team that worked on the design and development of the project. The groundbreaking is a symbolic gesture. It's one that says we're moving forward and the construction of the Justice Center is starting. This really does mean a lot to the city. We've been saying it's a once-in-a-generation event, and for those of you that have been here a while, this probably is a once-in-a-generation event. We have not broken ground on a building like this in a very long time. It's going to be standing here for decades to come. Again, I've only been back about a year, but the planning started long before that. And I do feel a lot of pride here. This is quite an accomplishment. It's going to be a beautiful but highly important a functional building for the community. Now, before we begin, I'd like to introduce Pastor Kim Scadam to join us at the podium for the invocation as well. Thank you.
Sound system's in the budget, right?
That's right. Would you join me in a prayer? Just bow your heads with me for a moment. It's a beautiful day, God, and we're thankful for it. On this Good Friday, it's particularly good for this community because of what you have allowed to have happen here and the work that has been done by the council and by the city leaders, by all the individuals who have put so much effort and energy and wisdom into the planning and now the breaking of ground for the Justice Center. This is an important building. Justice is important to you, and we're thankful to be a part of it in such a strategic way, in such an amazing city with great leadership. I pray that you would bless what is happening here today, and that proceeding from here in the days and months ahead, that your mercy and protection would be on each individual that would work on this land and on this project, and that it would finally come to completion, and our dedication of this new building would be right before us, and we'd be excited to see it happen. So thank you for being careful to love us so well and for doing what you have done for us. And because it is Good Friday, I'm thankful for your mercy in our lives. So we pray these things in your strong, good, and powerful name. Amen.
Next, I'd like to introduce Mayor Joyce Downing to join us for some additional remarks.
Thank you, Jim. I just want to thank everyone again for coming. This is such an exciting day. We have been working on this for years. In literally 3 to 4 years. And I just want to note that former Councilman Gene Weinecke is in the audience, and he was instrumental in helping us start moving this forward also. And also I wanted to mention that Jill Parsons, also a former council person, is here. So thank you for coming and being part of this event. Again, the project took several years and with a lot of planning and a lot of negotiating to get us to this point. I believe it's going to be a wonderful asset to our community and hope all of our residents feel the same once it's built and they can see what it looks like. The Justice Center will be a real presence in our city, that's for sure. Now, when we look out east, we can actually see the airport from here. So, that's amazing. We've got the best view of all. But also, when you're driving on I-25, everyone can see us too. So we're going to be, let's see, can I do that? All right, I know how to do this, Michael. So anyway, we just want to mention that we have looked at several locations in the city, and this one actually turned out to be the best location for the Justice Center. And the best part is it belonged to the city, so we did not have to purchase this land. So that was great. The building is going to be outstanding, but we don't want to forget the goal to continue to serve our city in the best way we can. Chief Jim May, Judge McGidd, and David Willett, as well, and their teams have put their hearts and souls, and I really truly mean their hearts and souls, into the creation of this Justice Center that we will call home to our police department and our courts. So at this time, I do want to turn it over to the judge, but I want to mention one thing. The court has been sharing space with the council chambers for many years, and it's not been the most ideal situation, but they never complain. And so now, in the near future, Judge, you'll have your own court. So.
Thank you. I'm going to keep my comments short, but I want to thank council and the mayor for all of their hard work. They really had a vision for this building. I need my gavel. And then supported it, and it took their hard work. I also want to thank the citizens of Northglenn. I understand this is one of the biggest projects you've had in a while, and I want you to know that the people that were on that committee, we worked really hard to find the right companies for this project. So when they asked me to be on the committee, I thought, I don't have any construction experience. Last time I built something was when I was Lincoln Logs when I was a kid, and what can I bring to this committee? And what we decided, we luckily had some construction people on the committee, including David Willett, who has invaluable experience. But our 3 goals for that committee in finding these businesses were to make sure that they would have the project on time. We wanted to make sure that when it started, we knew when the end date was, and it wasn't going to be 10 years from now that we got the project done. The second thing is we wanted to find companies that would find the best value for Northglenn's money. We understood that we had a budget and that we needed to find people that cared about the projects enough to make sure that we were finding the best value for the money spent. And then the third thing is that we wanted to find a company that cared about Northglenn, that didn't just look at this project like it was just another business deal, but actually cared about the community and understood what an impact it would be on this community. And now that I've spent hours with these people, I can tell you that we have achieved those goals in those companies. And so I'm really excited for this project. In the municipal court, we have, they call it the lifestyle, quality of life courts. We don't have hardened criminals that come into our court for the most part. We have citizens. You might not, and people have told me that in the municipal court, someone's only interaction with their local government, maybe with the municipal court. You might not go to a city council meeting, although I would recommend that you do, but you will come into the city court if you get in a traffic accident. You'll come see me. And when we share a room that has poor lighting and the sound isn't great, I've often wondered, do people feel like justice is served here because of the facilities? Justice for all, we just said that in our Pledge of Allegiance. It's guaranteed by our Constitution. But justice, the idea of justice is intangible. We can't put it on a table and all of us look at it and touch it and understand. They say justice is something you see, you understand it when you see it. And this building will be a tangible example of justice, because when people come into our court, they will understand that we respect their time, because we're going to be able to put processes in place that will make us more efficient. When victims come to speak with the prosecutor, they're going to feel like they are treated with dignity and respect because they have a room to speak in private with that prosecutor. When defendants want to speak with their attorney, they don't have to do it in the hallway like they do it now, but they'll have a room dedicated to it. And then when jurors come and serve on our jury, they will have a special place in the courtroom to sit. They'll have a place to deliberate. All of that are great examples of justice. And so I'm so excited for this building. I cannot wait for the ribbon cutting. And I hope that when we do enter into that building, that all of you citizens feel like justice is served in our community. So thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce the Director of Public Works, David Willett. David deserves a lot of credit for reaching us to this point today. Last summer, our project manager left the city, and this is right about the time that we were trying to find the contractor for the project. David had to fill in and directly manage the project in addition to running all of the public works functions that we have here in the city. It was a very critical time, and I just want to thank David for all the hard work of the value engineering that he's done and the budget and the schedule that we put together for this project. So, David.
Welcome, Northglenn and visitors. Thank you for supporting the groundbreaking event today. I'm truly honored to be part of the team tasked to design and construct the facility. The great weather we've had the first 3 weeks has enabled us to have a strong start. However, my guess, the project really started many years ago at various stages of lobbying by Chief May. My interjection began only 4 years ago as I got to know the chief and his staff on a personal level when we worked through the early stages of the police department's staffing plan. Our focus was providing the highest and best service possible as efficiently as possible. Part of that equation included modernizing the police department's operating space. Thus, in February 2014, we initiated the Police and Courts Space and Needs Assessment Project. The year-long effort yielded a conceptual floor plan based on national standards of approximately 45,000 square feet. Then in February 2016, we awarded the architecture and engineering services to design the building. Soon after that, September 2016, we awarded the building construction to a construction manager. And as we celebrate the groundbreaking today, it's important to note that the contractor has been working on this design team with the design team for 7 months, not just recently. And during this time has provided a great deal of input on the design as well as the building constructability. The industry calls the partnership construction manager at risk. We chose this approach because we believe the partnership between the owner, the designer, and the constructor creates a more trusting and productive atmosphere along with greater ability to control costs. Our team has not had one down moment, but it's been an atmosphere of always positive and with a willingness to compromise and effort forward together. So I told Chief May I'd only tell one story, but I got a couple here. The first one goes like this. One day last fall, we were well into design, and Jim, out of the blue and not within topic of the conversation we were having, asked an unrelated question. Those of you who know Jim probably have experienced this. Anyway, the chief asked, "Can I have 50?" I said, 50? 50 what? And I was pretty sure I knew what he was thinking about. But so the chief continued. He said, "Yes, 50 Community Center Drive." I stared blankly for a few moments, and he said, "The address, like the police show." I said, "Hawaii 50?" From that point on, Jim insisted that my primary focus, along with design of the building and cost of the building, should also include securing the street number 50 as the address for the building. So now I'd like to acknowledge the departments and boards and council that have made this 50 Community Center Drive, that's right. Acknowledge departments and boards and council that has made this project possible. First, my colleagues, city manager and satellite offices of economic development and communications, city attorney, city clerk, management services and municipal court, information technology, finance. Special thanks to Jason for often reminding me I had to keep it under $23 million. All the police staff, park recreation and culture, planning and development, of course, public works, my staff, and also Safe Built North Metro Fire District. NURA Board, Citizens Affair Board, Planning Commission, and of course the mayor and our city council, so thank you. There are many people that are on our team now, all working very hard to complete the Justice Center. For everyone, a sincere thanks from Chief May and myself. Finally, I would like to introduce a few people whom have worked intensely on this project since early last year. First, our Northglenn procurement team, Judge McGid, James Hayes, and Jim May. Also, our Northglenn construction managers, Nathan Hassas. Nathan, can you stand up, identify yourself? Yep. And Commander John Rosecrans from the police is the operations manager. I just want to mention a few people from FCI Constructors. They're our construction manager. You can see they've started a significant amount of construction out there. Now, it's important for me to point out that FCI Constructors was the only contractor in attendance at our community meeting during the solicitation period, engaging citizenry and learning about our community. Our team really appreciated their demeanor and their approach in the interview process, and they've carried that to this point. So I just want Nathaniel Spurry and Steve Rademacher to stand up from our team. They're back there in the end. And finally, the architects. Yeah, they're the bad guys. Anyway, Eric Combs of D2C. Eric, were you? Chris Crummery, registered architect and part of the Afer Wasaki team. Chris, were you? Also known as Crum. Okay, before I introduce the architect of record, I have one more short story, and it goes like this. As we're nearing the completion of the architecture and engineering request for proposal document and getting ready to post for advertisement, I asked Chief May what type of architecture he preferred because we needed a cover picture for our proposal package. Jim gave me 2 words, traditional and stoic. Sounds like Jim, right? Anyway, I had no idea where to look, and suggested to the Jim to give me an example from a national publication or some form of public safety literature. Well, Jim produced a picture, and it looked the part regarding the 2 adjectives he provided for me for guidance. The picture he provided me was from the cover of a well-known publication, and so I said, okay, on the cover it went, and we advertised for an architect. As it turns out, the picture of the police facility was the picture on the cover of our RFP was of a police facility that Ken Henton of Hafer Wasaki Architecture designed previously. And subsequently they're here. So with that, I'd like to introduce Ken Henton, AIA, lead AP, and the partner in Hafer Wasaki Architecture. Ken?
I'll try to limit it to 5 stories. No, I think I am the last speaker, maybe. Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it. It was kind of a shocker. You just slap it. That's what you do. And everybody, the first time this happened, everybody was okay. The second time it happened, they all looked at me. The sound system was going to work better in our new facility, and of course I said yes. I can promise that. So it's kind of, David Mendez is also here from our company. He's our lead in business development, and when he brought me the RFP, the request for proposal out there with the picture on it, him and Mitch Hafer, our founder, were standing together, and it's just like, would you quit jacking around with this? Come on, they can't have our building on the cover of that. But David ended up calling the chief and talking to him, and the chief invited us to come out and try to win the project, which we did, and it was a little bit unique. David asked me to talk a little bit about the process and about the building itself, but the process it was a little bit unique because we actually had to enter into a design competition as part of the qualification base for that. So not only do we have to be qualified to design police stations and courthouses, but they also had to see that the design that we could emulate what they were trying to do, and we had a little bit of an advantage because we did the building before. But when we had the pre-meeting with all the other architects in the room, they wouldn't tell us what they liked about the building. They just said, "Here's a picture," and here's what it is. But they did give us a bunch of parameters, a bunch of different things that they wanted to do, make sure that we got good views out toward the community and we could see the mountains and things like that. Try to get some screening on the water towers. Just a few things like that we were trying to do. So when we started to think about the design itself, it became with 75 foot of fall on this site, it became very obvious it was going to be a multi-story building. And we've done quite a few what I call one-story with walkout basements. I call those a lot. We've done quite a few police stations like that, and amazingly, they function better than any other police station that we've ever designed. So from that standpoint, the site was perfect for us, even though you can see all the dirt where they're pushing around out here. And if anybody remembers this site when it started, it was pretty much dipped into a hole and everything was sitting way down. And as a matter of fact, David Mendez and I drove our rental car out here, drove around, and the grasshoppers were coming in the windows from every direction. We had to stop up here and open the doors and let them all out. It was amazing. So we got a good first-hand knowledge of what the site was going to be and what was going on down there at the bottom of the site. So anyway, if you take a look at the way the grades have shaped up here, just by trying to balance the site out, the building's front door is going to be almost even with the road out in the front with Community Center Drive. And anybody that's seen the site and remembers it below, it could have easily been 10 or 15 feet down. All the community parking will be up in the front, and it'll be separated from the private parking of the police and court staff, which will be back behind the building on the lower level. And if you come in the front door of the building on the upper floor, you turn to the right, and that will be the court function. Right in the center, there's going to be a beautiful community room that will also be double as a training facility for the police and the court staff. And then if you turn to the left, it'll be the police station where they have the records department and administration, investigations, things like that. Down on the lower level is all the patrol function, the cars that come in and out all day long, and the staff that are bringing their gear in and out. They don't have to worry about walking through the parking lot with their guns and stuff and loading up their cars and things like that anymore. It'll all be fairly secure, and it'll be just a great separation of public and private functions there. So from that standpoint, it's going to be a great functional building, and I think they're going to be extremely happy with the efficiency that they gain from that. The building itself, as we started to design this, we decided that it was going to be. We looked for some kind of inspirational image, some kind of thing that would drive the corresponding design. And what we ended up coming up with was we used the concept of an eagle as a guidance for this project. I see some hats from some veterans here. We got fire represented, police. And so we used the eagle as the symbol of justice in the United States, and we created a design to look like an eagle was coming in and gliding to a landing on the top of this site with its wings spread out. As a matter of fact, out on the ends of the building, we've even got some tall grasses that'll go up, so it'll look like the feathers are blowing in the wind, in the fall and in the summer. So we've taken it all the way for that, and even the front of the building, which has been affectionately called the beak, is actually the eagle's head, and that's where the entry point is for the whole facility. It's going to be very obvious that it's there, and it's going to serve a primary function for the police. But that's kind of how the building evolved, of course, and it's also got a great exposure, as the mayor said, to I-25. So the back of the building also had to look nice. So the back end of the eagle, and there's actually a plaza out back that looks like the tail feathers of the eagle, and that's where they're going to do their ceremonies and things. So it'll be a great facility when they're done. I guess the last thing I want to say is, public sector work is what we specialize in, and I head up our public safety department, and we work with cities all over the country. And I have to tell you, the city of Northglenn, from top down, from the mayor and the council all the way down through all the staff, have just given us such good vision and have been so good to work with. David and the chief, have actually really become friends. And, I really applaud you all for that, for the kind of guidance that you've given us and the real visionary look that you have as a city. And we really appreciate that. It's made our job a lot easier. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Ken, for your remarks. I do want to mention we've got a few other folks here today, former council members. I saw Councilmember Dodge, Councilmember Monroe. Thank you again for your leadership in the past as well here. The other thing I want to mention, just to echo what David had said, a relatively small community in terms of staff that we have, and so we have people at the director level that really have to roll up their sleeves and get involved. And this project definitely was not put together in a silo. Everyone on the leadership team does deserve a lot of credit for helping out. You mentioned Jason Loveland, Amanda Peterson, of course, from Parks with her staff and everyone else. Also want to recognize the staff that run the maintenance and operations building for helping us host that open house we had last fall. I thought that was very well received. I think we had about 150 people there, really getting a lot of excitement going in the community. A couple other people I'd be remiss if I didn't mention. Madeline Norcong, I think you are the single most excited person about this project. And I also want to mention Sergeant Steve Garrow. I think he will be the only officer in Northglenn's history that will have served in 3 different police buildings. So he's got to hang out for another year and a half. He's got to hang out for another year and a half at least, so we get this done. So, and also I want to thank the community first and foremost. The neighbors that are adjacent to the site. You've come to public meetings. You've shared your thoughts. We heard more thoughts at a ward meeting on Wednesday night. We're going to do everything we can to be very good neighbors during construction and after we're done. And we're really happy to be in this part of the community. So we hope that we'll also be able to have an open house when this is all said and done. But before that, we've got to break some ground. So thank you all for coming. And if you want to turn your direction towards the shovels, we'll have the city council go over and turn some dirt. Thank you.